It's a 20 Plaguefall. I'm playing Resto Shaman. Usually I play Kyrian, but I was bullied into playing Necrolord because we didn't otherwise have one. So my Soulbind is Emeni, and my conduits are all full raid, not for Mythic Plus. I'm also trying out the Chains of Devastation Legendary instead of Deep Tremor. So I'm in a really bizarre build. But here we go. We still prefer to skip the first section. I know a lot of ruts don't anymore. We do, or at least we try. Some of us don't make it. It is Tyrannical, Bursting, Volcanic and Encrypted. Even though it's bursting, we decide that we're just going to pull all of the slimes at once, because trying to break it up will just take too long. It'll be too slow. So I'm just getting ready here, and I am prepared to drop every single healing cooldown that I have. I'm helping burn them down with the Chains of Devastation, and then I drop Spirit Link, Healing Tide, Ascendance, I Dispel myself, and I'm pretty sure at least one of the Paladins bubbles as well. No one dies technically, but one of the Warlocks does Seed. We also get during that, which is nice because Chains of Devastation uses a lot of mana, so you really want to be getting as many as possible if you do end up using it. It's quite interesting to see. So all my cooldowns 3 minutes, but as soon as we kill that they all drop down to 2 minutes. Just a wee reminder that during this season, like with this encrypted affix, you should be looking to use your cooldowns really frequently because they come back really quickly. So we're bypassing the boss, and we're coming down here so that we can get a slime buff to pull back up, but we've got some clearing to do first. I throw a cap totem there. I probably should have kept it till the slime claws were a little bit lower, because they do flee. I also should be using Earthbind for them, but I don't think I remember to during this run. I'm using my chains a lot, so it's just alternating chain heal and chain lightning, and as long as I'm alternating them, they're both instant cast. But as restoration, the chain heal is not free. So it can be quite mana intense, but it does synergize really nicely with full set bonus, so sometimes you'll see I just drop a totem instead of casting the chain heal, but it still counts as the chain heal cast. So I get my chain lightning back again afterwards. No one stands on one of those slime affixes, and we get a green slime. I purge it because the green slimes drop a pool when they die, and it's just easy to do. Also relying on my paladin tank to dispel himself, because the slime claws have a disease debuff that they place. I think it reduces oh my gosh, what's the word? Stats. There we go. It reduces stats. So that slime is what we want. It looks like we have it banished while we kill the others. Have the Plague Binder targeted so that I can get interrupts on Gripping Infection if needed. That one actually goes out, so I should be dispelling it. I don't think I've noticed it. Then we're just going to start dragging this red slime back up towards the boss. You don't want to damage it too much, and you want to try and coordinate your kicks if you want to drag it up here so it doesn't take too long to do. We have a lot of kicks with Resto Shaman and Prop Pally. Doesn't matter that we have 2 Warlocks. So once it's in position here, then we burn it down. And then we're going to do 2 things. We're going to stand in it. It's going to drop a red pool that gives a 25% haste buff. And I'm also going to Fleshcraft in it, and that's going to give me a buff that I share to everyone who's close, which will give another 25% haste. So at the moment we have 50% haste, and I've just popped Bloodlust as well. So it's really nice for our Warlocks in particular. I just try and stay close to the boss, so that slime wave is much easier to dodge. With chains, I can help with the small slimes and keep people topped pretty easily, even though there's a bit of damage coming out with us standing in the pool. It's fine. But you can also use Spirit Walker's Grace when he does his Plague Stomp and throws you backwards. I don't think I do here, just because I don't really need it with this build. We're quite lucky to have Warlocks, so we've got Banish for the big slimes. I don't think Shaman can do anything for that. Hex doesn't work on them. Also dropped Healing Tide, and now I've used Ascendance, so there's a little bit of damage coming out. There's nothing too scary. And actually, we let one of these big slimes get through in a second, and he consumes it, but it doesn't set us back too much. And so he gets about 10% of his health back. We're going to burn him down quickly anyway. So I've got this nifty weak aura now that helps me to target the relic that we want, which is which is nice. Give me some mana back, and then I target the Plague Binder so that I can hopefully interrupt Gripping Infection. You can see that debuff on the tank now. It does make him a bit harder to heal, but as a Shaman I can't get rid of it. I tend not to run Plaguefall unless there's a Paladin or a Monk, so they can get rid of the disease and also the poison on the last boss. So you really see how nice that synergy is with Chain Lightning and then things like Cloud Burst to give me the free chain heal, and then back into Chain Lightning again. It's like, it's a breeze to keep everyone topped and do a good amount of damage. I don't think it does quite as much damage as Deep Tremor Signet does. But it does a reasonable amount, and it also lets you do things like, you know, with all the instant casts, you can move and cast a lot more easily. There's just quite a bit of healing throughput on it. It's got quite nice like quality of life. I've been really enjoying using it. Dispel that Gripping Infection because we didn't kick it. And everyone else is focusing down the purple slime because that gives the damage reduction to everything around it. I'm gonna go ahead and purge these green slimes, I think. Doesn't really help many people in this group, but it helps the Ret Pally, to a lesser extent the Prop Pally. Stops them from dropping pools when they die. You'll see I'm keeping Capacitor Totem largely on cooldown. I am just in the habit of throwing it out quite a lot. I'm not very strategic in when I throw it out, and sometimes it catches me out, like if it's Sanguine, say, and I throw out a late cap, and that could be a real pain in the ass. But here there's not really any problem with it. Other than, yeah, like with the Slime Claws, I should be using it later so they don't flee. But I just throw it out. The Spinebreaker has 2 AoEs. It's got a Frontal Cone and that shit on the ground, and there's also a Plague Binder in this pack. So just making sure that there goes a Gripping Infection, no one kicked it. So I'm just dispelling that ASAP before that ground effect comes out. That will kill people if you don't watch out for that. So we pull these 2 slime claws here and we pull them into the gauntlet. So that is it plague borers? Yeah. When they explode, that they help us just to burn them down faster. These tentacles need stunning when they cast Crushing Embrace. It can be a bit hard to time with Cap Totem. I think I time it too slowly on this, and Ret Pally dies. She might have dodged bombs there. Either way, it's hard to res him in here. So we better res him just because we keep getting into combat by the plague borers that keep spawning. I'm gonna go ahead and pull over there and just grab Iridian. One of our warlocks has run off. I'm not, at the time, not 100% sure why. He's obviously pulling the next pack back up and in. And he calls for us to line aside them, so I go back up the stairs. And they almost walk in time. One of them walks in time to get hit by that explosion, which is nice. Spell one gripping infection and kick the other one. And these 2 things die. I forget all about bursting and I try and mount. And of course the dot doesn't let me. I go across to the opposite side. So the tanks pulled the Spinebreaker away from us so that we don't get hit by their belch as we're walking in. And then I'm just running over to the side so that if the boss leaps over to this platform that I don't inadvertently aggro him. So what we want to do is double back to the platform behind us and get the slime buff there as well. It's okay, and I'm bursting down the purple slime first. Well, I'm not doing a lot. My team are bursting down the purple slime first, and I've got a flame shock on it. Despite the gripping infection. I'm throwing out chain linings, but it's not going to be doing a hell of a lot to anything other than the purple slime. It's something like a 75% damage reduction. But I did get an interrupt on viral globs, which is nice. That's AoE damage to group. So any interrupts on that are good to have. And we should be killing that last, so I should have been on the Plague Binder. So once again, that red slime's going to give us a haste pull and also a haste fleshcraft buff. So fleshcraft again here. You'll see the boss starts burning strain. He does that when the tank's not close enough. So it's a little bit unfortunate for us. And also that the only relic that pulled with him was Vi, which we didn't really want. We would prefer to but that's okay, it's just extra haste. I'm not currently standing in the haste pool. I don't know if that was deliberate or not. It will reduce damage if I don't stand in it anyway. I don't know if I just forgot about it. So that slam injection on the tank, just want to dispel that as soon as it goes out. We're holding Lust until after he leaps over and the first bomb comes up. So here we go, gonna run across and then pop Bloodlust when we get there. think Lust had just come off cooldown as well, so it's quite good timing. And we're banishing those purple slimes so we don't have to deal with them, otherwise we'd have to burn them down before we could get back onto the boss again. I get some time here, so I'm just damaging the boss. Just doing as much as I can to help out. And then we get really lucky and he ends up teleporting back over to where we started. And there is still the haste buff on that platform. So jump onto that bomb, help burn it down. Also just moving away from this jump so it's easy to dodge. And like I said before, it's quite easy with Chains of Devastation. I can, even if it's not optimal, like I shouldn't necessarily be casting Chain Lightning or Chain Heal there, but the fact that I can if I want to, and both instant cast, is just really nice. I end up missing it when I go back to playing Deep Tremor. Another purple slime broke free of its CC, so Paladin turns evil. And the newer one gets banished. Let's just kind of rinse and repeat. I just keep dispelling slime ejection, dodging shit, doing as much damage as I can. I don't think I used Spirit Walker's Grace at all. I think I tend to forget about it when I'm running chains, but I could have used Spirit Walker's Grace there. So this is probably the most important place where you want to be purging these green slimes, because your melee are going to be standing here and fighting for a while. They want to fight in the green shit that spawns. But unfortunately I only notice one green slime. I don't notice the second one that gets pulled in. And so when that one dies, my melee end up having to fight in green shit anyway. That tentacle, you don't have to worry so much about stunning because it grabs another mob when you first pull it. Grabs a skeleton guy. And again we're getting which is really nice for me. Get all my mana back. On Fortified, this particular platform is really spicy and I'd probably drop at least one healing cooldown here. But this is a Tyrannical week and it ends up being way easier than I expected. So I throw out an early cap and then sort of using Chains of Devastation but doing it wrong. Sometimes I forget which spell I'm up to. Like I mess up the rotation, then I end up hard casting when I don't really want to be. I haven't really talked about it, but being Necrolord, of course I got the Primordial Wave with the cleaved healing wave. I'm pretty good at remembering to use that because I rated all of Sanctum of Domination as Necrolord. It's kind of second nature for me at the moment. So with the Ambusher, we don't interrupt its cast, so that it has less time to get Stealthlings out. So here I'd usually be trying to cap totem either on the Stealthlings where they spawn. I think there was a Shadow Fury that got them out of stealth there. Or on the eyes when they cast Bulwark of Maldraxxus, which prevents damage. So it's done either of those. Another Earth's really nice. The tank's dropping real low, so I just throw out a Spirit Link. I think he also uses a defensive, and the Ret Pally uses something there as well. We're totally fine. And for the most part, you'll see I'm keeping Riptide going as much as possible. Using that Necrolord ability even when I don't really need to. And then using Chains of Devastation a lot. There's a lot of chain lightning, a lot of chain heal. And then we're on to Venom Blade. So I just start off with some like single target on her. I've got my Flame Shock up. I've got my Lava Bursts on her. Dodge that Dismantleth pummel. And then I'll try and use Cap Totem to get the assassins out of stealth. Unfortunately our tank does go down there, so I drop my Earth Elemental as quickly as I can to try and pick up aggro while we get a res out on him. One slight benefit of having no Deep Tremor is that I'm not using him as a DPS cooldown, so I can use him more as a defensive cooldown. He might not have been available otherwise. I'm not sure if he actually helps though, to be honest. I also used Healing Tide and Ascendance there to try and stabilize us, because things were a little bit dicey for a second there. We're doing okay now. Just as per usual, just staying close to the group. Unless you get targeted by a Shadow Ambush, and then moving out just far enough. So I captured him up again, so I say which one I'm going to break out. Get that one. I think I time things very well here, like when all the ads are up, I'm throwing out Riptides instead of getting more value from chains. I could have done a lot more damage with Chain Lightning to help burn those ads down. Slash a lot more pad. And then I should have been putting Riptides up when the ads weren't up. I don't have cap for this one, so I can't help get them out. Throw out Healing Surge where I need to. But otherwise, I think I'm mostly relying on chains. Ooh. You can see that even though I threw out 2 cooldowns quite early on, they're almost back off cooldown. Healing Tide's got 7 seconds, Ascendant's 15 seconds. Like, go ham with your cooldowns. Don't be shy to use them. Even if you're not sure that you need them. Sometimes I just throw out a healing cooldown to give me more time to DPS. As long as I'm confident I'm not going to need it. We need a bit of counter here, so we end up playing these slimes before we move on, but in hindsight, I think we probably should have cleared up to the boss and then done these slimes afterwards. So we could have the buffs they give us for the boss. For some reason I'm targeting the green slime, but it's got 75% damage reduction on it. I should be targeting the purple slime. And also, we are 2 stacked up, so one of us gets targeted. I think it's a purple slime ability, one that looks like Icebound Fortitude. And then everyone within 5 yards gets hit by that. So we should have been a little bit more spread out than that. I've purged the green slime. getting some kicks. When this one dies, I fleshcraft on it, and then I go back and get the other one as well. So the green slime gives us a damage buff, just a chance to do damage, and then the purple one gives us a damage reduction buff. And I didn't realize how incredibly strong it is. I looked it up after this, and apparently it's 75% for 2 minutes. So if we'd had that for that first Infectious Rain on the boss, on Stradama, then it's not going to do much to us. I won't have to use a cooldown, which means a cooldown I can keep for later in the fight. So pretty keen to see what difference that makes if we do that next time. Also, I should be dispelling one of these bursting stacks off. Like, I should just be in the habit of dispelling myself after we kill a bunch. But I'm not, so I'm healing more than I need to be. There we go. I finally dispel myself. And spreading out those riptides. Don't think I used my primordial wave buff there. And I'm just alternating chain heal, chain lightning, chain heal, chain lightning. Getting my cleave healing wave. This guy just takes ages. Yeah, so I wonder if that would have been a good time to pull him back to the slimes, because I think he also pops to anything that you're in combat with. Or just mobs in general. So he might have popped back if we'd gone back to those slimes. And then we're into the last boss with 9 minutes left. I get a bit distracted here because we get Vi again instead of I'm kind of wondering why. It wasn't intentional. And what happens is I'm not prepared for this Infectious Rain, so I end up panicking a little bit here. I get on the back foot and I end up popping a sentence, which is a bit of a shame. It's totally fine. Like, I usually try and use one cooldown on each Infectious Rain, but I think if I had been set up for that, then I wouldn't have needed to use a sentence. And it just means I don't have a sentence for later on, and that's one of, if not the best, cooldown that I have. So we're into another Infectious Rain. And I drop Healing Tide to pick us up. Just trying to make sure I have Riptide up on everyone. And then get some benefit from my Chains Legendary. Helping to burn down the spawn in particular, but then also the zombie ads. And I forget about the tentacles. And I shame reincarnate and then pay more attention to the tentacles. And then we lust. And I'm just throwing out chain lightnings to try and help polish off those lust zombies. And then start trying to set up for this Infectious Rain. I dropped Spirit Link here, but in hindsight I should have kept it because I had Bloodlust running, so I should have just powered through this one. And saved the healing cooldown for another one. I think there's still like another 2 Infectious Rains that we end up having to survive, and now I have no cooldowns at all. So I'm focusing on dodging tentacles, and I'm helping just mostly with my instant casts. So Flame Shock, my Lava Surge buffs, procs, and then Chain Lightning, Chain Heal, Chain Lightning, Chain Heal. Here I let my team know that I don't have any healing cooldowns, and so they pop defensives, and so do I. So that was my Astral Shift there. The Necrolord ability is actually really nice for this dungeon. Not most of it, just this boss, really. Necrolord ability is really nice for this boss, the little old cleave healing wave. It's quite lovely. I start falling behind though, so I roll out my chains again to get the instant cast chain heals. It's a little dicey. I probably should have popped out my Earth Elemental there for the conduit, the defensive conduit. But we're okay. Let me pull through. My damage in this dungeon was real low, it was only 2.3k. For the most part, that's just because I'm not playing Curian. Most of it is Vesper Totem. I've been trying to compare the legendary, so Chains of Devastation versus Deep Tremor, and I think at this point Deep Tremor is doing a bit more damage, but not a lot more. It might be like a few hundred over the course of the dungeon, whereas this is like 3k. Maybe 3.5k damage loss from not playing Curian. But it's 100% worth doing for those haste buffs. That's 25% haste every time we got one of those red slimes. And then at the end there, if we'd managed that purple slime better, then having a big damage reduction buff would have been really lovely too. So worth doing, just a little bit sad.